This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Good morning and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Thursday, March 24. In Squiz Kids Today, Barty's big bombshell, Germany's electric car revolution, Tay Tay and BTS supercharged sales, and it's do or die for the Socceroos. That's what's making news, kids style.
The lowdown.
As the world was busy minding its own business yesterday around lunchtime, the world's number one women's tennis player, Australia's own Ash Barty, dropped the sporting bombshell of the decade. In a video posted to her Instagram account, Barty announced she is retiring from tennis. Finished. Finito. End of story. Yes, listeners, the same Ash Barty who electrified all of Australia when she stormed home to win the Australian Open in January. The same sports superstar from Ipswich who won Wimbledon last year, fulfilling a lifelong dream. Despite being at the top of her game and being the number one player in the world, or maybe because of it, Ash announced yesterday she was hanging up her racket and going out on top. "I'll never ever stop loving tennis," she said. "It'll always be a massive part of my life, but now I think it's important that I get to enjoy the next phase of my life as Ash Barty the person, and not Ash Barty the athlete." Ash's announcement was met with shock here in Australia and around the world, with tributes flooding in for the Queenslander from all corners of the globe overnight, from the very famous to the ordinary tennis fan. Ash will hold a press conference today to talk further about her decision. Quitting when you're at the top of your game. Doing something because it's right for you, not because it's what everyone expects. Just as she has always conducted herself on the tennis court, so it was yesterday with her retirement announcement. All class. Ash Barty, Squiz Kids salutes you.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Germany, where a great big new factory producing electric cars has been opened. So, why is that a big deal? New factories get opened all the time around the world. Whoop-de-doo. The reason this is interesting is because Germany has been the country that produces so many of the petrol-fueled cars that we see on our roads today. Cars like VWs, Audis, BMWs and Mercedes. So the decision by electric car maker Tesla and its boss Elon Musk to open their first European factory on the outskirts of the German capital Berlin is a thing. It's a case of the new kid on the car-making block, electric vehicles, taking on the older, more established kids, petrol-fueled vehicles, on their home turf. The new factory reckons once it's up and running, it will be punching out 500,000 electric vehicles a year. Wow.
Sport time.
And it's crunch time tonight for the Socceroos who play Japan in Sydney in a crucial World Cup qualifying match. The Aussies really need a win tonight against Japan at Stadium Australia if they want to keep their hopes alive of qualifying for the World Cup, taking place in Qatar in November. Japan's national team, the Samurai Blue, arrived in Sydney on Sunday and have been madly training ever since. After tonight's game, the Socceroos will hop on a plane and head to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, where they have to play the Saudis next Wednesday. Soccer commentators say that we really need to win both matches to book ourselves a spot in the World Cup later this year. Fingers and toes crossed, people. And while we're on the subject of all things football, of the round ball variety, special mention also must go to the under-12s goalie for the Gedling South Bank Panthers in England, a kid called Charlie Clark, who, during his weekend footy match, and in the dying minutes of the game, scored a goal from deep inside his own half with a majestic thwack of the ball. A goalie who scores a goal. How good is that? I've stuck a link to video of his amazing goal in today's episode notes.
Pop Culture Corner.
Have you been listening to a lot of music lately? Had your favourite Taylor Swift or Adele or BTS songs on high rotation? Well, if it's not you, it must be someone, with new numbers out yesterday showing that music streaming platforms have become so popular that the money being made by the music industry went through the roof last year. Artists like Tay Tay, the South Korean boy band BTS, and the all-conquering Adele are said to be behind the record number of dollars that were spent by us all on streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music. I'm talking 33 billion Australian dollars spent last year around the world on streaming services. And of course, whenever a new technology takes off, it invariably means an old one gets sent to the graveyard. Yes, I'm talking about you, CDs. You know those funny silver discs with music stored on them that your parents won't chuck out and they now collect dust in the corner of your living room? They used to be the primary way that people my age listened to music. Well, not anymore, with streaming now accounting for 65% of all music consumed last year. CDs, vinyl records and cassettes only make up 19%. Oh well, CDs are good for hanging in the trees to scare off birds, so I guess there's that.
It's Q&A time.
Yes, listeners, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. The Aaron Blaby Squiz Kids Q&A drops today. The author of The Bad Guys, Thelma the Unicorn, and of course Pig the Pug, sits down with Amanda and answers a bunch of the cool questions that you sent in. We had so many questions sent in, it's clear that you mob love the Aaron Blaby books, which also means you're going to love this Q&A, in which Aaron discusses which bad guy he is most like, which one he'd most like to have as a pet, and how plans are underway for a Pig the Pug, Thelma the Unicorn, Bad Guys crossover project. So, don't just sit there, get stuck into it. If you're listening on an app, the Q&A should play directly after this episode. Otherwise, you can find it at squizkids.com.au.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. Which Aussie tennis player shocked the world yesterday announcing she was retiring from tennis? That's right, it was Ash Barty. Question number 2. Which team do the Socceroos play tonight in Sydney? You got it, it's Japan. Question number 3. Bit of a toughie. Name the German city where a huge electric vehicle factory has just been built. Yeah, that's right, it's Berlin. Well done if you got that one.
Shout-outs.
It's March 24, birthday of Aussie cricketer Alyssa Healy, and also of NRL player Darren Lockyer. It's also National Cheese Steak Day in the United States, which I only mention because cheese steak, what is that about? It's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Jack from Canberra, Patrick from Ballarat, and Kaylin from Brisbane. And classroom shout-outs today go to Class 5-6D at Dobroyd Point Public School, Class 5K at Marimbula Public School, and to Miss Donahue and her Year 4 Class Boobamoo at Corindai Public School. See, I got the pronunciation right that time. And it's a very big welcome to Ms. Sinclair and her Year 3 and 4 class at Ashmont Public School in Wagga Wagga. They've recently signed up to become a Squiz Kids for Schools member. We're delighted to have you aboard. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout out, or if you're after a classroom shout out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.